Our bedrooms can either be seen as a safe place away from others where we get to recharge, or it can be a place of vulnerability, both from nightmares of the mind and nightmares of reality. It happened in my bedroom at the age of 10. I always had trouble sleeping and spent most nights tossing and turning. I was a horror film fanatic as a child, and being scared was something I didn't have much experience with. I was not afraid of the dark, nor was I easily swayed by strange sounds or odd encounters. I did, however, know when to haul ass out of a situation or to find a trusted adult. I always slept with my closet doors open, which will come to be of some significance later in the story. I should also mention that my family home was in a heavily wooded area, in what some may refer to as the middle of nowhere. One night around 1 a.m., I awoke to a sound coming from underneath my bed. It sounded like one of my cats was scratching themselves with one of their feet, or doing something to cause a thumping beneath me. I had heard this same sound many times before, and its source had always been one of my fuzzy friends. So this time I didn't look. I closed my eyes and tried to resume my slumber. I turned over onto my left side, which left me facing the wall against which my bed was pressed up. I heard the sound again, and thinking that my cat was directly beneath me, I said goodnight. I was able to fall asleep once again. The next time I awoke, it was to a surreal and shocking scene. The sheet and comforter of my bed were no longer covering me. I saw a man standing over my bed, poking me. Fucking poking me with his finger. And the way in which he did so was truly horrifying. It was not the way that a child would poke a friend in jest. It was as if he was touching another human being for the first time, exploring the sensation of the tip of his index finger jabbing at flesh. What I saw was so unbelievable, so impossibly strange, that I believed I was dreaming. I tried desperately to awake from my nightmare, to no avail. The poking continued. He poked at my chest, my belly, my legs, arms, and between my legs. Paralyzed and scared shitless, I yelled, "Wake up!" And with this, the man threw himself to the floor and closed his eyes, as if he was trying to lead me to believe that he was asleep or dead. It was at this time I realized I could not have been dreaming. I somehow found the ability to move, and I jumped from the top of my bed over the man lying on the floor next to me and ran towards my parents' room. When I got to their bedroom door, something came over me. I told myself that this was all impossible, that there was no way that a person could have entered our home without breaking in, as we had always kept every door and window locked at night. I had seen many strange things in my home whilst either falling asleep or waking up. By the third or fourth time after speaking to my mom or dad about it, I knew that it was my mind playing tricks on me. Plush toys do not have the ability to turn and whisper into each other's ears, for instance. Do not ask why, as I have no explanation to offer you. But I turned away from my parents' bedroom door that night and decided to hastily check the house for a break-in. What I found was nothing out of the ordinary. No broken windows or locks, no busted doors, nothing. I assured myself that I had to have been dreaming or hallucinating, and blamed my obsession with horror for this. I made my way down the long, dark, and narrow hallway to my bedroom. I peeked inside and saw no one. I turned on the light, got down on the floor just outside the doorway, and looked under the bed. Nothing. I proceeded to check both of my windows for signs of a break-in, which were not present. Both windows were closed and locked. I knew it. I was totally seeing things. I crawled back into bed and decided to watch some TV in order to calm myself down and distract from thoughts of the scary as hell dream or hallucination I just had. I flipped to a channel with a seemingly boring program. This always helped me become sleepy, and put the remote control on my bedside table. I was lying on my right side, facing away from the wall that I mentioned previously. As I laid there, my eyes began to adjust to the dark room with the faint light from the TV screen. Just beyond the TV, I saw something that made my heart sink into the pit of my stomach. Inside my closet, with one of the doors now slightly closed, I saw the man standing perfectly still, facing the wall, hiding, as if waiting for me to fall asleep. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. I sat and stared at the man in my closet for what seemed like minutes, but was likely only a few seconds. I quietly got out of bed, hoping that the man wouldn't notice and that my dad could catch him hiding in the closet. I once again made my way to my parents' bedroom door, still remaining as quiet as I possibly could, and went inside. I shook my dad and my mom at the same time, and when they awoke, I said, "Shh, don't make any sound. There's someone in my closet." My parents both jumped up and said, "What?" I repeated myself and asked them to please call 911. My mom immediately picked up the phone. Neither of my parents doubted my claim, as I had always been honest and forthright. They both knew there was no way that I was making this up or that I was mistaken. I'm sure that the look I must have had on my face made it clear that this was really happening. My dad told my mom and I that he was going to look and urged us to stay in their bedroom and lock the door. So we did. At this point, I was beyond scared. I didn't know what the man was capable of, whether he had a weapon or whether my dad was safe. I just stood in the room with my mom and cried. After what felt like hours, my dad knocked on the door and told me it was him and that it was okay to open the door. My mom unlocked the door and let my dad inside. I said something to the effect of, "Did you get him?" And my dad looked at me with the most unsettling and confused look imaginable. He said, "There's no one there." I assured him that there was indeed a man in my room and that he had been poking me. My dad said that he had just checked every inch of the house and found no one. He had also checked the doors and windows just as I had done. Then it hit me. He must have had a key. As soon as I said this, my parents looked at each other in absolute terror. Our nearest neighbor, a trusted and beloved friend whom we considered family, was in possession of a key to our home, as she had regularly babysat me since I was a toddler. She was the only person outside of my immediate family with a key to our house. Soon after this revelation, the police arrived, took statements, checked around our property, and left. None of us got any sleep that night. The next day, my dad went to my neighbor's house and asked if she knew where her key to our house was. She said yes, and when she went to show him, she saw that it was missing. Her home had no signs of a break-in, and she had always kept her doors and windows locked. My parents had all of the locks on our doors changed and opted to never again give a key to anyone except in the wake of an emergency. I never discovered the identity of the man that lurked in my bedroom that night. The event left me traumatized, and it took a very long time for me to accept what had happened and move on. My sleeping trouble turned into full-on insomnia, and for about a decade, I was unable to sleep without a light on. My name is Jordan, and when I was a child, I used to suffer from nightmares and night terrors. I would walk in my sleep, wake up screaming, and more. As a result, I hate falling asleep to this day. I still get nightmares and night terrors. My family moved into a new apartment, and I shared a bedroom with my brother. Like other kids, I was scared of my closet, even if I had been absolutely positive that there was nothing in there. Night after night, my family would do everything they could to reassure me that there was nothing in the closet. I had a nightlight. They'd close the closet door. They'd look outside, everything. But nothing worked. My terror of that closet was through the roof. Each night I made sure the door was closed, and each morning it would be open. Yes, I could have walked in my sleep, or my brother could have been playing a prank on me, but given my level of terror, he wasn't that cruel. One night I went to bed, and my cat went to bed with me. I was drifting off to sleep when she suddenly arched her back, fur on end, and started hissing towards the closet. I woke up immediately, and the closet door was opening. I tried to scream, but nothing came out. Eventually, I managed to call for my dad, who ran into the room, but there was nothing to be found. I refused to sleep in that room for a very long time. Fast forward a few years later, and I'm talking to a guy I was dating about the nightmares that I used to have. I'd convinced myself that the closet door incident was just a night terror, and that I'd imagined it all. I was telling him about other nightmares, but I hadn't told him about the incident regarding the closet door that one night. And that's when he tells me that he used to suffer from nightmares as well. He tells me of one where he's walking into a room, and there's a girl on a bed with a cat. The cat wants to kill him, and the girl is screaming. It seemed like a coincidence, except for the fact that he described my bed, my cat, and me all down to the very last detail. My story happened about 5 years ago, when I was 14 years old. I was an only child at the time, but my mom was pregnant. My mom didn't work a regular job because she was on disability from a spinal injury. My dad used to work overtime as much as he could to be sure that our family had everything that we needed. We didn't have much, but we definitely had food on our table. We lived in a neighborhood with houses all very close together, like you could reach out from your window and probably touch the house beside yours. Behind our house was a small wooded area, and on the other side of the patch of woods were more houses. At night, it was always really dark behind our house because the floodlight we had back there had burned out a few months before, and my dad hadn't gotten around to replacing it. My dad tried to work early shifts as much as he could so he could be home in time to have dinner with us, and because my mom never really got morning sickness, but tended to get sick and needed help at night more than anything. So he would help her, and so would I. Her injury made it extra difficult on her, so it usually took us both. But every now and then there were nights when my dad had to work late, just in order to make more money. My dad was always a jokester and still is to this day. I would normally go to bed around 10 p.m. because I had school the next morning, but there were times when I would stay up late. My mom didn't like it, but she didn't usually bother me about it too much. She used to tell me that if I was tired the next day, I'd know why. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, when my dad got home late, like around 11 or midnight, he would park the car and sneak around to the back of the house where my bedroom window was. If he saw my light was on, he would usually tap really loud on the screen of my window to freak me out, which worked a lot of the time. Our bedrooms were all on the ground level of the house, which was why he was able to access it so easily. As time went on, I started learning to expect my dad sneaking up on me, and I could hear him crunching on the leaves or the grass behind my house before he even got to my window, as long as I didn't have my headphones on. I used to shout at him to stop doing that, and then he'd come inside the front door and he'd always laugh about it, like it was the first time he ever did it. Then he'd tell me that I needed to get to sleep, always giving me a hug first. It made me mad sometimes, but seeing him laugh usually got me laughing too. We only had one air conditioner for the whole house, and we barely turned it on to save on electricity, except for on really hot days. So sometimes at night, I kept my window cracked open to keep my room cooled off. When I had my window open, sometimes my dad would whisper through the window, telling me to go to bed, which freaked me right out, probably even worse than the knocking. He always got a kick out of it. Well, one particular night, I was especially tired. I was so tired that I ended up falling asleep with my light on, which I rarely ever did because the light keeps me awake. I couldn't even have my TV on with the volume all the way down because of the light. I woke up to hear the familiar whispering at my window. I was groggy, but checked the clock and it was a little after midnight. I figured my dad was whispering, telling me to go to bed, but you could see my bed from the window, so why he would be telling me to go to bed and not just coming in and switching off the light made no sense. But I was really tired and out of it in the moment, so I didn't think about it at that time. I said something along the lines of, "I'm asleep already," but that's when something strange happened. He whispered back, "It's okay. Come outside quick. There's something outside." I started to wake up a little now, and I looked at my window, but because my light was on inside and there was no light outside, it was just black outside of the crack of my window. I couldn't even see my window screen. I asked him why, and he just told me to come outside, but not to tell anyone, and that there was an animal out there that he wanted me to see. So I walked out of my room and put on my flip-flops by the door in the kitchen. My mom had been awake and saw me walk past from the living room and asked what I was doing awake and what I was doing at all. I told her that Dad was at my window again, and he wanted me to come out to see an animal that was out there. My mom got up as quickly as she could and told me to wait. She looked really confused and pulled down on the blinds on the window next to the door. She and I both saw that my dad's car wasn't in the driveway. That's when my mom told me that my dad had called 20 minutes before and said he had to stay extra late at work and wouldn't be home until after 1 a.m. Needless to say, I freaked out and my mom was scared too, but she tried keeping herself and me calm. She insisted it was a dream probably 12 times, but I told her I was totally awake and whoever it was told me to go outside and not to tell anyone. We went to my bedroom door and I reached in to turn the light off as fast as I could. My mom and I both heard something rustling around outside my window, like someone was taking off running. That's when my mom was convinced that I wasn't dreaming. I checked the caller ID and the number my dad called from was my dad's work number, which was probably around 40 minutes away. My mom shut my window and locked it, and we made sure all the doors were locked and called my dad, who left work right away and came home. We called the police and they said that they had already sent a couple of cruisers to come through the neighborhood to patrol and look around, and that they had already gotten more calls about someone peeking in people's windows that night. My mom ended up getting some sleep on the couch that night, but my dad and I stayed up. The next morning, my parents let me take the day off from school as I was so tired, and my dad walked around to the back of the house and saw that the screen to my window had been popped off and was leaning against the side of the house. That day, my dad replaced the floodlight and always kept it on at night, but regardless, I never left my window open at nighttime again. To this day, I don't know if the guy was caught, and I have no idea whatever happened to him. We moved 3 years later to another state, but my dad, understandably, never snuck up to my bedroom window ever again. And now for something entirely different, but entirely fucking awesome. I swore at the beginning of this video, so I figure why not keep it going. Do you grow hair on your body? Do you have a mouth? Does your body begin to smell after weeks of not bathing because you just no longer see any point in doing anything anymore? Well, that's pretty disgusting and you should turn your life around. And this video's sponsor, Dollar Shave Club, is just what you need. Whether you're really nasty or just normal, it works either way. Despite the fact you may not wipe properly or people can smell your genitals before you even walk into the room, you're worth looking and feeling your best. And Dollar Shave Club definitely has a starter kit to get you right in order. And any given kit is only $5 when you visit my link to dollarshaveclub.com/Gavagan, linked in the description below. You still have your classic shaving items like the sleek and sexy executive razor, super smooth shave butter, and a full cassette of razors. By the way, ladies, these razors shave way better than any of that pink flowery, overpriced bullshit you have to deal with. Trust me, my vagina practically shines. And you've also got shampoo, body cleanser, and a nice facial cleanser. But now you also have one kick-ass oral care kit, which includes a Superba toothbrush with Superba toothpaste too, to keep your teeth looking mighty white and your breath smelling so nice that people actually won't mind having a conversation within 12 feet of you. And let me tell you, with Dollar Shave Club's $5 oral care kit, the brush's soft bristles are like an orgasm on a stick. The toothbrush has been carefully crafted not to fuck up your teeth or gums, while also providing a next level of clean. I personally love it, and the toothpaste tastes so good that sometimes I just eat it. On hot dogs, burgers, shrimp, as a tomato sauce substitute for lasagna. It's amazing. Just kidding. Don't do that shit. But it does taste great. And with Dollar Shave Club, you can get a new kit every month. So no more using the same razors until they're tearing off sheets of skin, which is perfect for a man's face in a lady's special place. If you shave there. No judgment, works great everywhere else too. And no more using the same toothbrush for 3 years, you sick bastards. Do you know how bad that is for you? You could find assholes with less shit residue on them, seriously. Pull yourself together. Even the American Dental Association recommends changing your brush every 3 to 4 months. So you're going to be way ahead of the game with the oral care kit. All you need to do is go to dollarshaveclub.com/Gavagan, linked in the description below, and get your $5 starter kit. Whichever one you want is your choice, or you can grab them all, which is still a killer deal. So again, head to dollarshaveclub.com/Gavagan, linked below, and level up your sexiness game. Thanks for listening.